Hey, it's me, TB, and today I'm bringing to you part 2 of my 2021 releases video that you missed, or 2021 releases that you missed, part 2. This is the second half of the list of books that I feel like people just did not talk about or did not hear a lot of people talking about them. So let's get started. First is Bath House by PJ Vernon. In this one, we are following our main character Oliver Park, who's a recovering addict. He gets married to this wealthy surgeon, and things are all great and fantastic. And eventually, author Oliver goes to this bathhouse. Shocker, I know. And there he has like affair with a man, and while there, everything goes very, very wrong. And our main character kind of barely escapes with his life intact. And he basically runs home with a hand-shaped bruise on his neck, and he has to cover up that bruise, of course. So he lies, and of course, when you lie in a thriller, it kind of goes off the rails very quickly. It's like lots of twists and turns and lies and lies and lies. So if you want a thriller that is queer, here you go. Next is City of the Plague God by Surwat Chadha. I probably fucked that up, so my apologies to the author, but this is part of the Rick Riordan Presents line. And this book is based off of ancient Mesopotamian mythology and has characters from the Epic of Gilgamesh, so I love that. So basically, our character is just like chilling, living his best life. And eventually, Nurgle comes to him because Nurgle thinks that he has the secret to eternal life. It turns out that our character is immortal, but he does not know it yet. And he gets sent on this quest with the daughter of Ishtar and Gilgamesh himself to find the flower of immortality. And the description says they'll have to conquer sly demons, treacherous gods, and their own darkest nightmares. So it sounds great to me. And as a whole, the Rick Riordan Presents line has been very solid so far, at least from what I've heard. So I'm sure this is going to be great too. So next up is Dear Son by Thomas Mayer. This is all about basically Aboriginal Australian and Torres Strait Islander dads in Australia kind of like writing letters to their son about like masculinity, their own identity, so on and so forth. As a whole, I don't see like a lot of talk about like masculinity between like father and son, kind of like how that's being talked about. So I do want to read this in 2022. So yeah, not to talk about because it is like essays, so it is kind of like this general theme, of course. So if you are into like parental relationships, I guess, and talks about masculinity and identity, here you go. I know it's really weird to pitch that, but it is nonfiction. There's an essay collection by different people. So it's kind of like, how do you summarize that very quickly? Yeah, basically it's about dads writing to their sons about stuff. So yeah. So next up is probably gonna be another fast nonfiction thing. But this is Another Day in the Colony by Tosi Watego. And so basically the author is kind of examining the racism going on against Aboriginal Australians. And so basically she's theorizing strategy to live in a society where people keep talking about Aboriginal Australians as if they're going to die out one day. And she exposes the lies that people say about Aboriginal Australians, and it's mostly focused to her own background and her own story. So there's that as well. So yeah, here you go. Again, something I want to read in 2022. So next up is a middle grade, and this is Res Dogs by Joseph Bruchac. This is about the COVID-19 pandemic, so warning for that. Basically, our character visits her grandparents on their reservation, and while there, the pandemic starts, so she can't really leave. And kind of talking about how on the reservation everyone is helping each other and protecting each other. Of course, a dog comes into the picture because the title, and she kind of hears stories about how this is the first time a major disease has kind of ravaged the indigenous population of the Americas. Tessa learns about her grandfather's experience in a government boarding school and about her own mother, who was taken away by social services but was able to kind of come back to her own community. So it sounds like going to be a very deep book for middle grade anyway. No idea how heavy this book is going to get, but it sounds pretty heavy. So I guess warning for all that too. Next is The City of Thieves by Alex London. So this takes place in a modern day megacity that kind of is built around dragons, and our main character gets caught up in underground dragon battling and a pretty major gang war. So our character kind of just tries to take his dragon riding exam, but he fails. It's kind of fucked for life. Except one day his sister appears at his window and trusting him with a secret and a secret dragon. So of course, stuff ensues. So yeah, it sounds like a fun middle grade fantasy novel. So next is The Healer of the Water Monster by Ryan Young. So this is about our character Nathan, who visits his grandmother on the Navajo reservation. And he knows that's going to be her boring summer which never happens because of course it's like a book, so of course it's not gonna be boring. But in lieu of spending time with her, and one day he goes out and wandering into the nearby desert, and while there he finds a water monster that is in need of help, and in doing so he has to summon all his courage to kind of save this monster because it is part of the Navajo creation story. Former character is determined to save this monster, as well as heal his uncle from pain because his uncle has like a lot of problems. So yeah. So next is A Cry to War by Io Odiasi, my eyes are fucking up today, and Caine Pumpuni. So this is a West African inspired fantasy, adult fantasy, should probably clarify that. The last like 2 or 3 have been middle grade, but this is like an adult fantasy. So we are journeying through ancient African kingdoms, a mythical forest, and treacherous mountains, in arid desert and mysterious seas. This is set in medieval West Africa. So basically, there was a war brewing a long time ago, and the nation is finally trying to like heal from it. And the king currently reigning is torn between whether or not to kind of reopen these wounds or to kind of like be known as a peaceful king. And when doing so, the gods kind of interrupt him, and it ends up being a gathering of supernatural and magical forces on top of a nearby mountain, which spells danger for everyone. So of course, we're going to have to like solve that problem. So yeah, sounds great. So next is the Last Mage by Ben Alderson. So basically, our character was raised to hate magic because a long time ago, forces from the north came down to the south and kind of killed all the magical people here. We kind of left the south without any form of magic. The local governor harasses him, and our character kills him with magic because oopsie. Instead of like punishing him, our character is forced to kind of live as a replacement to that son, kind of become a false heir, and he is forced to kind of like restore the legacy of this place because, of course, he's the last person with magic. And while they're trying to marry him off, you have to deal with attacks from the queen from the north, and he can trust no one because like no one knows who he actually is. And of course, there are questions of like, where does magic come from? What is going to happen to him as an heir? Because of course, North is going to want magic to come back. So like, how do you stop them from knowing about him? It's the whole thing, like secrets, lies. I did read this before. I did give it 4 stars, so I did like it a lot. So there you go. And then finally is the Membranes by Chi Wei. This is a sci-fi novel that was first published in the early 90s, I think. And I would say that the ending plot twist is like very like what the fuck. It's extremely what the fuck. Basically, my character, this is like a futuristic dystopia of sorts where I think everyone lives underwater because I think the surface is like so hot. But basically, my character is kind of like a massage therapist of sorts, where she kind of like gives people new skin on top of their old skin, and doing this, she has like a special device that allows her to kind of like, I guess, take away their memories from their skin. And the story deals a lot with like, our character's relationship with her mother, like her own identity, gender, because there are cyborgs here as well. Because there's like a dystopia thing is like mostly focused on like using cyborg labor. It's like a whole thing. For sure, I also gave this one 4 stars as well. Also, this is like pretty short, so it isn't like very long at all. And like, yeah, it is like less than 200 pages. It's very like quick. It's a very quick read. Yeah, the ending is very what the fuck. I recommend reading it entirely for the ending because like it is such a what the fuck moment. So yeah, that is the second half of the 2021 releases that people that I did not see people talking about. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe, like, share, all of that. Hopefully, I will see you next week.